Upon first viewing of Saving Private Ryan in 1999, I immediately thought, there's not a chance in hell any other World War II movie is going to come even close to this. And I think that statement rings true, up until recently with Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. Let's go to war. The cast of Saving Private Ryan is both impressive and varied, ranging from A-listers to relatively unknowns that would go on to be just as big. Tom Hanks is our frontman in a commanding role, thank you. He is joined by an impressive lineup of actors who play more than just disposable cookie-cutter soldiers. My favorite is Barry Pepper as Private Jackson, using the power of prayer to snipe Nazis by the dozens. Adam Goldberg gives a powerful performance as Private Mellish, especially in a scene so painful to witness, I almost had to look away upon a recent rewatch. This is due to the fact that Jeremy Davies' character, Corporal Upham, is the most frustrating type of person you can watch on screen. The cowardly soldier who cries in the corner while his comrades fight for their lives. There are some awesome smaller roles by Bryan Cranston, Paul Giamatti, Ted Danson, Nathan Fillion, Vin Diesel, and of course our fresh-faced title character James Ryan, played by Matt Damon. Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Giovanni Ribisi, and Dennis Farina are also putting in the work and easily trounce Dunkirk when it comes to fleshed-out protagonists. In fact, I recognized very little of the names when the credits started to roll, outside of the always enjoyable Mark Rylance as Mr. Dawson, a British civilian chartering a small boat along with his boy and his school friend to rescue the soldiers from the surrounding German army. Tom Hardy continues his trend of being in films where his face is covered up for the majority of the film. Even with very little dialogue or emotion, he manages to be the best part of the flick, as a badass fighter pilot who refuses to back off against insurmountable odds. Not to be outdone in the pathetic soldier department, Nolan has his own version of Upham, in the form of shell-shocked Cillian Murphy. I found him to be far more tolerable, mainly due to his more innocent and accidental approach to things. Lastly, I'd like to turn my direction to Harry Styles as Alex. He trades his sultry voice for some damn fine acting as a kid just trying to survive the foobar scenarios he and his buddy Gibson find themselves in. So we have great actors on both sides, but the bottom line is this: it's a full-blown sausage party no matter which way you lean. For a war chock full of strategery, planning, complex issues, these scripts are very straightforward, and I like it that way. I like it simple. Saving Private Ryan is exactly as it sounds. A small band of brothers are put on one more mission. They need to find and extract Ryan from a war-torn France, as he's the sole survivor of 4 brothers. There is nothing special about this man, which makes this rescue mission full of heart. It also leads to some interesting interactions between the men as they argue over why one man's life is more valuable than the 8 of them. The biggest set piece is the incredibly realistic and masterfully executed first 40 minutes at the Omaha beach. This $12 million recreation of D-Day was so intense for veterans, the government set up a 1-800 number for them to call if they needed help coping with the scenes depicted on screen. Once this unforgettable, not to mention expensive sequence was finished, we start our real journey with the team as they make their way through Normandy to find their ticket home. They take part in multiple incursions, and the whole thing caps off with a nice battle on a bridge. Christopher Nolan focuses his sights not just on evacuating one man, but the entirety of the Allied soldiers from Belgium, the British Empire, and France stranded on the shores of Dunkirk. When I first heard Christopher Nolan was directing a war film, I thought to myself, this is going to be a bare minimum 8 hours to get his point across, but in a shocking twist of fate, it's less than 2. No, that was possible. And it's fairly linear. I say fairly because we get the point of view from 3 different angles. The aforementioned boat captain, a pilot, and a couple of young soldiers just trying to make it through the day. The directors jump in between these threads almost seamlessly. Arguably too seamlessly, as it sometimes takes a while to catch up to where we're at in the timeline. While there are no set pieces as large or bombastic as Spielberg's opening, there is no shortage of spectacle on display. Dunkirk has its own beach attack to start things off, and from there it never slows down. It's constantly ratcheting up with dogfights, ship explosions, and escape scenes. Saving Private Ryan slows down to give the audience fleshed out characters through expository dialogue and touching deaths. Dunkirk's all business. It doesn't have time to focus on such petty things. This thing's under 2 hours. Saving Private Ryan's a full hour longer. Okay? It's got time to breathe. Most of the characters don't have much going on besides having a first name and a task. Hell, some don't even get a name at all, and I was surprisingly cool with that. There's a lot of substance in the actions of these men. A big takeaway for me was the commentary on how the soldiers look at each other and the thankless positions they are put in. For example, one of the pilots is shot down, barely gets out alive, and when he sees his fellow soldiers later, they're like, "Hey, thanks for the help up there, douche," walking away, and the guy's like, "What the fuck?" If he would have died in combat, he would have been a hero. They would have praised him, but because he was alive, he didn't do enough. It's pretty backwards. To summarize this, both films have plenty of great action, emotional moments, and thankfully, no tacked on Pearl Harbor love story bullshit. There's just so much to love and respect here. The recreated costumes, weapons, sets, realistic deaths, amazing stunt work, intense aerial combat, and the sparse use of CGI should be commended. It all feels real, honest, authentic. Much like my buddy Josh's new restaurant he opened down the street, authentic Mexican cuisine and burgers and fries and shakes. It's real stuff. It's real powerful. The only criticism I would throw at Spielberg's masterpiece is my disdain for the occasional use of that shuddery slow motion effect. Lord of the Rings used it once in a while. I hated it then. I hated it now. The effect should be removed, stricken from the records. No filmmaker should be able to touch it again. Everything else is framed incredibly well with dramatic wide shots and classic dolly work. I read that Dunkirk was shot on 70mm stock footage, which means absolutely nothing to me, but if that's true, they should do that more often because the film's beautiful. I found the plane sections to be the most engaging, especially during some of the tracking shots of the Spitfire as it pursues its targets. The scores are simply amazing in both instances too. Spielberg's go-to composer John Williams once more nails it, providing our ears with Grammy award-worthy numbers such as the opener, Hymn to the Fallen, which even got some radio play, which I'm sure sandwiched in nicely between Genie in a Bottle and Hit Me Baby One More Time. With every great director comes an equally great composer. Nolan is no exception, once again looking to his boy Hans Zimmer for their 6th collaboration. I loved the stopwatch-esque sound he infuses into the picture, toppling an audience that was already on the edge of their seat straight to the butter-drenched floor. As someone who has spent approximately 0 hours behind enemy lines, has a very limited understanding of history as we know it, and has almost no training in hand-to-hand combat, I can say without a question of a doubt that these are the 2 most authentic war movies of all time. And you should absolutely see them. War is hell, but these are great. Let's finish the fight. I really enjoyed my time with each of these for completely different reasons. I loved the breakneck speed of Dunkirk and its lack of interest in war cliches. Saving Private Ryan is an epically monumental affair that doesn't happen often in cinema. A revolutionary event that increased the scope of filmmaking with an emotional punch most blockbusters miss now. Saving Private Ryan is easily the winner for me, but Dunkirk is an incredible piece of filmmaking by one of the best in the business and absolutely should be viewed on the big screen if possible. I gave you my take. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Make sure to comment, vote for your winner, and remember, this is more than just reviews. This is Movie Feuds. Thanks for watching. I don't have a clever outro this time. I never really do, I guess. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to check me out on social media platforms for credibility purposes. Intern Sheila should be putting up some graphics for you to digest, I believe. Otherwise, you'll be out on the curb like your mom. Gotta move on. You can also check me out on patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. Throw me a buck or two if you want. I run this channel alone. It's almost a full-time job, honestly. Thanks for your time. Sheila, the graphics, now.